Hello, I'm Frost, and welcome to another Alliance Spotlight. In this episode, we're going to be looking at Reckless Contingency, and my guest is Apollo428, who is the leader of said alliance. Apollo has been around in EVE since the very early days, since 2003 when he was part of Band of Brothers, and as I said, is now in Recon. So let's jump right in and start the interview. Hello Apollo, so thank you very much for coming on, and you're going to be telling us all about Reckless Contingency.
Yes ma'am, thank you for having me on.
That's quite all right. So I've been looking forward to this. I know a fair bit about Reckless Contingency. For those of the people that don't actually know the channel, I'm actually part of this alliance. So for me it's more a case of just having a friendly chat with you, Apollo, because we know each other. But it also gives me a chance to talk a little bit about you guys. So obviously the first thing I want to do is I want to cover the history. Now, even though Reckless Contingency was created in 2019, its history goes much further back than that. So do you want to give us a bit of background as to where it all came from?
Sure. I don't know the exact timeline, but I know when they first came to drones, they were members of the alliance called the Phoenix Alliance, I do believe it's called. And they were under that for a little while. I don't know exactly what happened with that, but then they ended up leaving Phoenix. Some people left, and the remnants created an alliance called Badfellas. And Badfellas was, mainly the police force for drones, for NC for bot. They were part of what was called the Drone Control Unit back then, or DCU, whatever, DRF, whatever you guys want to call it. They were part of that. And then after that, they ended up folding into bot at the time due to infighting in the drone lands and a war with Skill Yourself and all that. And we then moved to Order 66 after we broke out of bot, and we changed that because the name was kind of, and we started out, we renamed ourselves and rebranded ourselves to Recon.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so obviously, with that, we were talking about Badfellas and DCU in particular. So for those of the people that don't know, DCU, or Drone Control Unit, was actually a coalition of all the various alliances that lived in the drone lands. That weren't NC or PL or other parts of PanFam. And they were basically we went to war, right? So there was it Guardians of the Galaxy, then there was we teamed up with DRF, which is the kind of the Russian-speaking alliances like Legion of Death, and went up against Triumvirate. And then while we were down south, Skill Yourself came in, and due to politics, shall we say, Skill Yourself got very annoyed and then obliterated pretty much everybody in DCU, hence why everything was kind of reformed. Is that a pretty good recap, do you think?
Yeah, it touches the broad strokes of things.
Yeah. I think we could probably do a whole episode just on the life and times of DCU. But anyway, The main thing the main thing we get from this though is that an alliance isn't necessarily an alliance just by name. So what you've talked about there is the fact that a lot of corporations stick together, and they may rebrand, but it's the corporations have all been together. Now, one of the things with Recon is that they weren't initially very PvP oriented. They were much more industry. So can you talk about how that has changed within the alliance over the last kind of few years?
Sure, absolutely. So during the DCU wars out there in drones, the Alliance was primarily a supplemental force. They PvP'd only when they had to, and they were treated more like renters at the time because that's all they really did was make ISK, feed ships, and every once in a while actually go on the offensive with the DCU. While this was a great way for us to make money and wealth and all of that, it really wasn't touching on what we needed to do to become our own alliance. And when we ended up folding into bot for protection against Skill Yourself, it allowed us to start working on our PvP aspect. We were even though we were in bot, still weren't renters. We were still used as the police force out there, but it allowed us to do a lot more things. We didn't have to worry about SOV rental bills anymore. We didn't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that was weighing down our wallets.
Mm-hmm.
So when we moved,
okay,
go ahead.
No, go. Please continue.
Okay. So when we moved to into Order 66, it was on the heels of the whole drama that we had going with Skill Yourself, between Bot and Skill Yourself and the Bad Fellas corporations that were still there. We had just gotten out of a war with Unspoken, Laserhawks, and for some of you guys who followed that, you guys know what war we're talking about. It was like a hell war, honestly. NC had to come in and eventually save our collective bacons. So, but ever since then, we like the players learned PvP during that, and a lot of them got a taste for it. They really wanted to keep going. So while industry is still a large focus of our alliance, we've gotten heavily into the PvP side as well. So we're definitely a mixed bag.
Okay, so I mean that brings us on nicely to the culture of the alliance. So like you say, it's a mixed bag. So how is that kind of managed? Because you have certain corporations that have been doing industry since year dot, and that's their kind of main core, and then they play a big role, in helping supply PanFam with like ships and stuff. So how do you manage that culture, and do you want to talk about how that culture is developed?
Yeah. So the culture was managed by the need to make a name for ourselves. So after we went to Order 66, mind you, that name was a meme name. I promise you, it wasn't it wasn't the name we were ever going to stick with. But it was there to set ourselves a name, right? So we had to learn to PvP. Everyone knew that they had to learn to PvP if we wanted to eventually hold our own space, and eventually we joined PanFam. Because yes, we were like affiliates of PanFam, but we want to be members of PanFam. So we're a lot heavier members than we are now, even though we're not officially PanFam. We're still affiliates, but we do a lot of fleet ops with them, with PL, everybody. But the culture was built specifically for this, and I've always ran the alliance to where real life comes first. We're not going to sit there and go crazy with you guys. We're not going to force you to log in for your only hour a night to come onto a fleet and then leave mid-fleet and die. But and we've also tailored it to where people can help out in other ways. If you only have an hour to play, okay, you don't need to go on the fleet necessarily. You can do something else to help. We have moons to mine for the Alliance SRP funds. We have ships to build. You can help light sinos for our jump freighter routes, things like that. So everybody plays a part, and that's what really helped our culture grow. It's not just we're PvPers only. All crabs are bad, that kind of thing.
So can you describe a typical Alliance player, or is there such a thing?
Honestly, I couldn't describe a typical player. I could describe you 3 different people, and it would sound different for every one of them. Like we've got Cretin, our basically our campaign commander, who's really working out well with he's doing all of our liaison work with Pappy and all PanFam stuff. The man's crazy. He's 18-hour days. The man just doesn't. He
never sleeps.
He doesn't. He's relentless. So like his type of day is a lot different than say somebody from one of our newer corps that are focusing on making some money and only showing up to fleets when it's a max ETA type thing. Like, oh my God, we're pushing a keep star, get the hell in fleet.
Okay, and what about time zones? I mean, is there a strong time zone, or is it kind of a bit of everything?
I mean, our strongest time zone is always going to be EU time zone because there's a lot more There's a lot more Euros that play this game than the US really, and our Euros though, a lot of them stay up till the wee hours of the morning for them to play in the US time zone as well. So we do have coverage on both, but primarily it's the Euros really just putting in the time.
Okay, and obviously, something you mentioned a little bit earlier was being sort of affiliates to PanFam and Pandemic Legion. Now, it's more than just kind of a loose relationship, right? That now Recon basically fly in every single Pandemic Legion fleet, correct?
Yeah, so that was one of the things that we discussed after we were in the Fountain section of the war. We really wanted to integrate better with PL. PL invited us on to, come with us, this is Recon's first offensive war ever. You know, in the history of Recon, going back all of its other alliance names, this is the first offensive deployment they've ever done. And PL wanted to help us with that. Headliner reached out to me and goes, "Hey, listen, we want to take you under our wing. We want to take you with us on the deployment. Let's get that done." And at first there was a lot of tension between us, because we had some people that just wanted the PvP nonstop, so they were pinging fleets for Horde, they were pinging NC fleets. Meanwhile, Headliner's like, "Guys, I just haven't pinged my fleet yet. Don't worry, we're going." But since we moved into Delve, it's honestly like I can't really explain it. It's uncanny the level of cooperation that we have going on. And like I said, a lot of that is thanks to Cretin. Cretin does an amazing job with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I mean, now looking at kind of how the alliance has changed so much, you know, where do you see it going from here? You know, what does the future now hold for Reckless Contingency?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, I would love to be able to give you a prediction. With the war going the way it is, if we manage to dislodge goons from 1DQ, that could be a big game changer for everything on the map. So it's like, I don't want to predict something just to, you know, have it thrown at me on Reddit, because I'm sure it will. But I think Recon's going to continue to grow off of this. I'm hoping we can continue to work together with with PL and our PanFam allies, and I'm hoping that we can eventually, you know, become our own, you know, NC or PL. You know, we can match their numbers for Supers and Titans, or match their abilities.
Yeah, so I mean, you're basically, at least you're getting the experience from being in PL fleets and having that kind of mindset and learning from that as well, you know, in terms of the PvP side. But I mean, you're not a small alliance anyway, right? I mean, you have 1,500 toons or 1,500 characters in the alliance, so you know, you've got a good decent size behind you as well.
Oh, absolutely. But being as a 1,500 man alliance, people look at the map at Dotland and be like, "Oh, they only put like 80 guys in fleet. Why? What's going on? Why are they so small?" But remember, like, we're not just a straight PvP focused alliance.
Yeah.
We do it all. Like, we make our own ships. We make our own. We mine our own moons. We have a small rental empire we're starting out with, but you know, everything that we do is basically done by our players.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like you said very early on, was that you know, that you have an industry side, you have a PvP side. There is no typical player, and so 80 people in a fleet, but those 80 people are the hardcore PvPers of the alliance.
Exactly, and like, ask me how many Roracles we could put in the fleet, and it'd probably dwarf our PvP numbers, because you know, everybody here has you know, Oracle ults. It's just crazy.
At least one, if not more.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think the average player has like 3 Roracles, maybe 4, which obviously isn't a lot. I know, because you know, there's other alliances out there that have, you know, 10 Roracle accounts per person, you know, things like that. But Roracle mining has become, you know, pretty heavily nerfed lately. But you know, it still makes money. Still makes money.
Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, especially now with the whole scarcity thing, you know, the industry element and the ability to get resources is key. I mean, obviously, so you said you've got an infrastructure there as well, because now you have to import a lot of stuff, right? Not everything is ever available in your own region anymore.
Yes, that is true, but luckily we were a little ahead of the curve on that. So a lot of the changes that happened, we were able to stock up on. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I still have like 3 or 4 billion trit lying around because I have no use for it anymore, but you know, here we are.
Just don't build Feroxes with them, okay?
No promises.
Just promise me. Yeah, my hate for Feroxes is well known, and I just want to emphasize it one more time.
I mean,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, if I can throw Feroxes at goons and they actually fight back, I'll do it.
Fair enough. Okay, I mean, I've covered everything that I can think of. Is there anything else that you want to add, as kind of a closing statement?
So one of the things that makes Recon a little unique is, you know, I don't treat it as an alliance. I treat it more as a family. Any of the leadership from other corporations that have been with us in the past can attest to this. We've had a few corporations leave us, unfortunately. We've had some that we've separated, in a bad way, but ultimately everybody that's part of Recon is literally part of our family. We do meetups in Vegas when we do it. We've had other meetups in London where some Recon guys will show up there because they live over there. We have a tight-knit Discord group. We all talk to each other. Some of the newer guys haven't really experienced this yet because they're still newer and we're in the middle of World War B too. So honestly, but I like to think of everybody as family. I don't like to kick people out of the alliance. I don't like to lose corporations. Not because I don't want to see the numbers go down. No, because we've made connections with these people. We've become friends over time, and when they leave, it's it's like the family splitting up a little bit. It's a sad feeling. So
yeah, I can attest to that, because one thing I think that is worth mentioning is on the Mumble, the TeamSpeak, the comms. Everyone jumps into everybody else's corp room. It's not like everyone just sits in their own corp and just chat with themselves. Everyone kind of just bounces around on Mumble between rooms all the time, right?
Absolutely, and we encourage it. I mean, we've cut down a lot on the toxicity that we used to have, because we did have some pretty heavy toxic people. We've cut that down a lot. Everyone seems to be jiving pretty well, and again, it's all about making connections. EVE Online is a social game. It really is. And honestly, I wouldn't still be playing this game if it wasn't for the social interaction with other players and the meetups around the world, the people that I've gotten to know, the friendships that I've made. And honestly, I'm really happy that I could add people from Recon to that.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be part of Recon as well, and I've always had a warm welcome there, which is great. So, as you know, I'm always with Crazy Cabellis, and wherever she goes, I go, and she's stuck with you guys. And I went away for a couple of years for a break, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, I was very happy to see you back, by the way.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that, Apollo. That was really cool. I think that gives everybody a really good idea of what Recon is about. And I think we'll wrap it up there, if that's okay with you.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Recon's recruiting.
Okay, I'll emphasize that again. Recon is recruiting. There we go. And what I'll do is I will put the in-game channel down in the comments. I'll pin that as a comment so everybody can find it, so they can get in touch easily. Okay?
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much, Apollo. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. So that wraps it up for Reckless Contingency. So thank you to Apollo for coming on and talking about the Alliance. Hopefully that gave you a good idea of what Recon are all about, and I hope you found that useful. And for me, I'm going to say don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. Do make sure to post comments, and come and join me on my Discord if you like. The link is in the description. Right, that's all from me. Time to say goodnight. Bye.